want to do one last thing that, in my experience, keeps most people poor or struggling financially. So you remember the 3 piggy banks? That gives you the money. Doing this, 100 deals. The reason I don't have a job is because it interferes with looking at deals. I don't want to do that. I'm looking at a deal constantly. Against the people that work with it constantly. That's all I'm doing is tracking down deals. It's a waste of time to work. I don't get rich. So that's the thing. The second part is most people don't have the time to spend the time to get rich. They're too busy working for the money. And the third part is most people say it's risky or it's fearful or they chicken out. You know, they see a deal. Even if they see it, they back out. And I've seen so many people do it. And the reason for that is because if this is an iceberg, okay, most people, they say, I'm going to get the 3 piggy banks, I'm going to look at 100 deals, but it comes time to put the money, we call it go hard on the dollar. Got to go hard. If this is your conscious mind, let's say, this is your what? Subconscious. Money, sex, politics, religion. This thing takes over. I have seen people go, I might lose money, when the stock market crashes, and what if this is bad, and I'm going to call my accountant, my attorney. This talks. I see him walk away from it. Well, I'll think about it. It doesn't cost you anything to buy a piece of property. Nothing. It costs nothing. It's called you put an option down on it. I sit there and say, well, you want $1 million? I said, here's a $20,000 check. Don't cash it for a week. I'll see you. I option it. Same as in the stock market. Option. I don't use the thing. It doesn't cost you any money to buy a piece of property. But people will talk themselves out of it. Instead of interacting, these guys are reacting. And it's really tough here in Arizona, or you don't know what it's like to be in New York. I'm going, it doesn't make any difference, because the problem is between your ears. Because the fears come up, they start talking. You can't talk to these people at that moment. They're like, and the reason is because of the magic word. What is it? Fear. And what happens to the average person, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And what I mean by false evidence is that if this starts talking, they'll start gathering the evidence to make sure that it's real. Well, you know that most businesses fail. Let me show you the facts, and let me show you the stats. See, they're looking for all that false evidence. They'll validate, they'll justify it. They'll call their mother, their sister-in-law, their brother-in-law. Yeah, we agree with them. Am I right? Yeah. They'll make it real. It's not real. Like, I got crucified that said, that the 9 out of 10 businesses fail. I said, that's correct. Most of them fail, but one makes it. I said, look, I failed twice. Twice I was part of the 9, but once I made it to the 10. The difference between you and me is you haven't failed at all yet. Yogi Berra once said the great thing about the National League is that if you strike out 7 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame. So the biggest mistake was my poor dad, my rich dad, this did his thinking for him. He could give you all the reasons why you fail. When I failed, I felt terrible for about a year. It was horrifying. I lost millions of dollars. Self-esteem, I was homeless again, on the street and all this. But once I got that back, I was stronger. Then I failed the next time. A little bit, 6 months, depression. Third time I hit it. Difference is my poor dad said, you failed. My rich dad says, you haven't failed enough. There is a difference. And my rich dad also said, failure is part of success. People who avoid failure also avoid success. So your biggest expense is not what you spend. Your biggest expense is the money you're not making because you're afraid. So the thing that my rich dad taught me very early on, called fear. Fail early and fail responsibly. Look, if you know you're going to fail, do it now. Don't wait. Because each time you make a mistake, you get smarter if you do it responsibly. So the thing that I do is when I fail, I go, like I said to my investors a couple of 4 years ago, I said, I need to raise $3 million. The chances are we're going to fail. And if you can't handle the $50,000 shot, don't put your money in here. There's a good chance I'm going to fail on this one. So people left the room, and I got more money because I was forthright with them. I said, if I lose it, I'll tell you I lost it, and I'll tell you the next deal. But failure is part of the process. So the thing that I say to people is fail early, correct, but fail small. The first deal my wife and I did when we got back into real estate was a $45,000 deal, $6,000 down. If we failed, we would have got smarter than somebody who didn't fail at all. But we didn't. So we pushed the boundary, going bigger and bigger, hoping to fail. Well, everybody's avoiding failure. I'm hoping to fail because I'm going to get smarter. I open my mind up. I ask people for their advice. I synthesize the data and make my own decision. But I live and die. If I make a mistake, I own this. I apologize. I blew it. I made a mistake. This is what I learned. Continue on. So I want to thank you all for being here. The thing I want to leave you most with is that every morning, as a 9-year-old boy, who was going to listen to it was a choice, rich dad or poor dad. Every morning I get up and I still make that choice. Who am I going to listen to? And I hope you make your choices for yourself. Thank you very much.